Hey, good morning, guys. Once again, just finishing up a workout, doing a quick walk on the indoor track they have here. Let's see if we can finish up this intro version. So, yesterday I ended the story with starting my business and how I grew so quick, and then 2015 hit. I had a large ground-up 4-story nursing home going on, and big project. Contract ended up being like $2.4 million. At this time, 2015, I had 34 guys working for me. I was on top of the world, you know. I felt like I've made it. I finally became something. Little did I know that would be the hardest year of my life. 2015, I'm in the middle of that, towards the end of that contract, and the general contractor, it's called C. Raymond Davis & Sons out of Kimberton, PA, started running into issues on the job because of mismanagement, discrepancies with the owner, and so forth. Because of this, 3 years later, I'm still in a lawsuit for $500,000 with them. They never paid me. In addition to the lawsuit, I started getting targeted by the labor unions, Local 98 here in Philly. Actually, it was 380 up in Norristown, but they were taken over by 98, so it's just kind of like one and the same at this point. But anyway, so I have the unions attacking me. Spent out almost $200,000 in legal fees to fight them off, in addition to not being paid $500,000 on a job that has now cost me probably almost $200,000 in legal fees. So, not having money come in and fighting off 2 lawsuits totally took away any type of profits I could have made that year. And the hardest part about it is that my company ended up being divided. So the union, what they do is they send people to get jobs with companies who want to get in with the union. And the way that they'll let them in with the union is if they go get hired by a company and then talk the current employees into signing a union card to vote for the company that they're with to become a union shop. Most unions, nowadays aren't necessarily like that. They don't really target per se. The labor unions, they're a little bit of a different story, especially 98. If anyone's from the Philly area, trust me, you guys know what I'm talking about, and we'll leave it at that. But the hardest part, like I said, was my company was divided. I had a couple guys who were sent from the union to get jobs with me, who were sabotaging work, who were doing unsafe practices, and who were purposely starting fights with the other employees just to be able to file labor grievances against us for being for not creating a safe working environment for them. At the height of the battle, I had 22 or 26 unfair labor practice charges that were filed against me by the union. I ended up beating out every one of them and then compromising on the last one only because it was either pay $5,000 to an employee or a former employee who was getting drunk on a job site, or pay $30,000 to go through the legal battle of fighting it. So it came down to just numbers. So we ended up settling and just paying just to save me money at that point. But like I said, my guys would come to me and tell me what these guys were doing and how they were trying to talk them into being union, and how they didn't like the atmosphere anymore and all that. And that was the hardest thing I could have ever went through. It almost broke me, because in a situation like that, there is very little that I can say to make the employee feel better. And anyone who knows me knows I'm a caring person. My grandfather had an electric company, and he always told me that the secret to his success was take care of your guys, because your guys are what takes care of you. So I always put my employees first. I always put my employees' families first. That situation, my hands were tied. I couldn't say things because anything I would say could be another labor charge brought against me. It was the hardest time of my life I could have ever went through. And it almost broke me. I did end up beating out the union. My lawyer said it was like the way that I did things and the way that it happened, it was unheard of. He's never seen a company do it like that before. And said because of how much of a fighter I am is the only way it could happen. And he's actually started taking that practice to the other firms that he represents because of how it worked out. But aside from the union, we get into the lawsuit. So this company didn't pay me. By the AIA contract, I'm still obligated to do the work, or they could take me to what's called an arbitration, and I would owe them all the money back for another firm doing it. It's the legal terms on an AIA construction contract are, yeah, I mean, anyone wants to get into construction and wants to do AIA contracts, be warned. So here I am, all this money out of pocket, still having to finish the job. Job's complete. 3 years later, I'm still fighting for it. But same year, 2015, when I had another contract with a different general contractor that went a little south too. Not quite as bad as the first one, but it was for the contract was for a company, Norwood, who was the general contractor, and the project was for a company called eMoney Advisors, a financial institution that's owned by Fidelity, Fidelity Mutual. Large contract, well, not large, but it started out at like around $850,000. It was a 4-month contract. Ended up being like $1.5 million. Working around the clock 7 days a week. End of the job comes, and all of a sudden the money stops flowing from the owner. Reason being, from my understanding, is that the general contractor submitted some kind of general claim for overages and something outside of my scope, different from electrical. I think some of our money was caught in there, but it really had nothing to do with us. So when that happens, the owners, their go-to is to stop payments and to not pay until it's all resolved. 2 years went by, still not resolved. We've now come to an agreement, and that settlement is done, and we closed it out. But I'm on top of, said and done throughout 2015, I'm almost $1 million out of pocket. Now, if anyone's been paying attention to what I've been saying and doing about business, you only make about 20%, if you're lucky, off of a job. Normally 10% of that is profit, and 10% of it is overhead and such. The overhead is like office, different expenses, insurances, stuff like that. So once again, not only did I not make any money or wasn't getting paid, all this money that should be going towards keeping the business running stops. So had to cut a lot of costs and find a way to get through, because that's what you do when you're in business. When you're a contractor, or any business really, you got to realize if you're in business to make or to be rich, you're going to fail. 90% of someone's personal wealth is tied up in their business when you're a business owner, regardless of what it is. So, I had to cut a lot of costs and had to cut back on some stuff and unfortunately lay off and do what needs to be done to survive. Because you got to remember, when you're in business, it's not just you. I mean, you have a responsibility to your employees and their families, and you can't jeopardize that, not at all. That's the most important part. So, here I am, 2015, 2016 rolls around, I'm damn near bankrupt. Don't know what I'm doing. I'm broken. My whole soul is gone. My marriage is falling apart. Me and Angie are fighting a lot, and everybody still comes to me. Everybody still wants from me. Everybody's looking for money or help or tell me how evil I am because I'm not helping and so forth. Angie's 2 older daughters, they never talk to me, and I'm hearing that they want cars and stuff like that. I mean, it got pretty bad for me. And I mean, I got to the point where I just wanted to die. I really did. I didn't want to be here anymore. I mean, business is falling apart. Marriage is gone. The only thing keeping me going are my kids. Taylor and Brittany. They're my anchors. And the only thing I kept telling myself is that my kids aren't growing up the way that I did. They're not going to be without a father. They're not going to be struggling. They're going to have a good life. So I find a way once again to pull through and to work past, and I start using today's money to pay yesterday's bills, and I just keep the smile on my face and the work ethic to pull myself out of it, and that's the only choice you have. That's the only thing that you have, and that's what determines whether you're a good business owner or a good person. Failure, and whether the failure is you that failed or something around you that caused the failure, the best thing we can do is learn from it, because if you succeed at everything in life, you never learn, and if you never learn, you never grow. So I learned, I quickly learned that you need to you need to be able to diversify yourself, and you need to be able to keep things going. You got to take the good with the bad. I mean, there's years, as some of you guys see, I'm blowing money like crazy. But you got to remember, I mean, when you're a business owner, 9 months out of the year, you're not making money. Those 3 months that you are, make it worth it, because when you make money, it's good. But you got to learn to pace yourself. You got to think of the unexpected. You got to understand that, at any given time, something could not go your way, and you have to be ready for it. Luckily enough, I found a way through it, because, like I said, I mean, it wasn't just the fact of not being paid on a job. It was the fact of the union targeting me and everything going on, that, not only am I not making profit off of a job, I'm actually in debt off of the job, because bills have to be paid off of that job until you get the money, because the suppliers don't wait, your credit lines don't wait, they want their money. So you got to pay all that. So even though you're, say, $500,000 owed to you, you're out of pocket $800,000, because you're covering the bills until you get that $500 back. So you're $800,000 out of pocket waiting for $500 to get paid, and on top of that, paying legal fees to get the money paid to you, another $150,000, $200,000. So we're $1 million, and then I'm fighting off the union, so I'm $1.2 million out on the street, no end in sight. And it was a kind of combination of all three of them that got me to my darkest point in my life. And we are at 14 minutes and 30 seconds, so I'm going to stop there, and I guess I will be continuing tomorrow. I'll talk to you.